Hey, hi, hello besties. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well. I missed you guys. I know, I've been gone for a very long time. Let me explain why. I've been going through a lot recently with work and school stuff and driving. Your boy's getting his license and crud's been crazy. So that pretty much sums it up. I've chosen to do quality over quantity when it comes to my YouTube channel uploads. I'm pretty religious about making sure that I only post things that I'm motivated to and I don't do things under pressure because that's not good for anybody in the situation. That and I've got a new hyperfixation. I am absolutely in love with Welcome Home. And because of that, I've been wanting to make a video on it for a while. But the problem with that is, we hadn't been given a lot of lore. But, lucky stars, yippee-ki-yay, we just got a new update. And I really want to talk about it. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, Welcome Home is an ARG that is a Wix design website made by Clown Illustrations. It is a psychological horror ARG under the guise of a forgotten 70s puppet show, very Muppet-esque in design. It's kind of like, it's been described as Muppets meets Mr. Rogers. And it gets pretty intense. It looks very peaceful, very happy, very innocent. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, you can see our array of beautiful, happy characters. It takes a while to get into it and find it, but the game definitely has some darker undertones. Realizing that this seemingly innocent website has a dark secret behind it, the internet has banded together to try and understand what the heck is going on. And this is what I'm actually here to talk about with you guys today. At the forefront of the lore are two figures. The main character of this show, Wally Darling, and Home, Wally's house. Alright, so before we get into things, and before I go on my insane tangent about this ARG, I would like to lay out how we're going to do this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down the basics for people who are unacquainted with Welcome Home. And then secondly, I'm going to start explaining the intricacies of the lore in terms of Home's suspiciousness. And then thirdly, I'm going to look into Wally's dynamic with Home and how these two pair together. As I mentioned before, Welcome Home has a really colorful cast of characters. And these characters all reside in a little town called Home. If you get to scroll down on the neighborhood section, you see all the houses of our little neighbor friends. It's pretty colorful. I like the aesthetic we got going on here. I think it's really cool. You can click on the houses and you get to read up more on our fun little characters, such as Barnaby B. Beagle, the jokester of Welcome Home. You get to see what their houses look like again. Welcome Home is a lost puppet show that took place in the 70s. And so this website is made by the Welcome Home Restoration Project, who are aiming to bring back the memory of Welcome Home and try to figure out what happened to it, essentially. If you scroll down, you can see, obviously, restored stuff. You get to see fun little animations and whatnot. And then you get this weird garbled thing. When I unwrapped the first letter, I felt it. I heard it. Open, open, open. I want it out. I'm going to get it out. Weird, right? Obviously, something isn't right with this website. Something's going on with the restoration project. Something's going on, and it doesn't seem friendly. And because both Wally and Home are in the forefront of a lot of the pieces of lore we've been given lately, people are suspecting either Wally or Home to be the culprit of what's going on here. Me personally, however, I would lean more toward Home, and this is why. So, right out the gate with the website, one of the first things you're going to notice when you get onto it is the common pattern of Home, one of the characters, being everywhere. And the weird thing about this is Home is the only sentient house in this neighborhood. Home is considered, I think, if I remember the number of neighbors out there correctly, the 8th neighbor or something like that. I don't know. Basically, Home is considered an extra neighbor simply because Home is the only sentient house. I find the fact that Home is as the only sentient house is weird. Like, if this is a fictional, haha, funny children's show neighborhood, you'd expect there to be more sentient houses laying around. But no, this one's the only one for some odd reason. And for whatever reason, in the website, they are everywhere. They're in the banners on the sides, like what's shown here. There's spinning Home gifs everywhere too. I don't know. You just can't escape it. You can't escape it.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Another thing you'll notice right away is when you go to the neighborhood, you can see that Home is located specifically in the middle of the neighborhood. And the creepiest thing about this is Home's eyes move around the neighborhood, almost like they're monitoring the neighborhood. I don't know, there's something really, really unsettling and not giving about it. And as if that isn't absolutely terrifying enough, you can move Home on mobile. You can move Home. And underneath it is that.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god, what is that?
Home is so central that it is literally an abbreviation for the neighborhood, which is called supposedly Welcome Home. As you can see with the postcards, it's cute. I get it's supposed to be cute. I get it's supposed to be whimsical, right? But there's something so weird about this, especially if you're like me and you utterly believe that there is something so menacing with this house, so disturbing with this house.
He's in the walls.
It just feels like, I don't know, so much is put onto Home that it can't be coincidental, right? There's gotta be something there. If you go to the bottom of the guest book, you'll see that it has been signed by every character in Welcome Home. You got everybody's. You got Frank, you got Sally, you got Julie, Howdy, Eddie, Barnaby, Poppy, Wally, and you get Home. Because why are they both in the same handwriting? Obviously, this is in Wally's handwriting because Home don't have any limbs. And upon closer inspection, you see that Wally's name ends with a smiley face. And in Home's, you get a little walls and roof around the smiley face. It's like, aw, you know, ha ha ha. Home is Wally's house. That's so cute. Wally's living in Home. What if I told you that there's something a lot more menacing going on here? Yeah, it doesn't take looking too far into the website to notice that obviously the fact that Home is Wally's house, the two are very closely connected. But there's something sinister about it. And in order to see that, you gotta go deeper into the lore. Yeah, it gets pretty messy, so just bear with me. Now, even with all my knowledge on Welcome Home already and my hyperfixation on it, I cannot even begin to explain to you coherently how to exactly get every little piece of lore on the website. One person, however, that does that really well Nightmind. Watch Nightmind's video on it if you want to see the entire playthrough of like the website. It makes so much more sense. One of these deep dive lore bits that we've gotten is an audio file in which you can hear Wally singing Beautiful Dreamer. But it gets really creepy really quick.
Starlight and dewdrops are waiting for thee. Sounds of the wood heard in the day. Warmed by the moonlight have all passed away. Beautiful dreamer, in my soul. Once while I really was so tragedy. All other cares of life's busy throng. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me. Ha 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 ha. I don't know the other words. That's all Barnaby taught me. Did you like it? That's good, I think.
After finishing his lovely little tune, Wally asks, "Do you like it?" And there's a creak in response. Now the thing about Home is Home, having no mouth, obviously only communicates in onomatopoeias, which are like bangs, creaks, house noises, I guess. Now, if you actually listen carefully throughout the thing, I would highly suggest just listening to that audio file again and listen for the creaks in the background while Wally is singing. I've listened to that so many times and not caught it, and this is editing too here, I was looking through it again, and I was listening closely, and I could hear creaking in the background, like, Home, don't interrupt him like that.
But you did this for what?
Wally responds to Home's response with, "That's good, I think." And that really strikes me. I'm gonna get into the nitty-gritty here. I think this audio file does an amazing job of exposing the dynamic between Wally and Home. If Wally was in total control of the neighborhood, right? If Wally was in control of everything, first off, Wally would not care what Home would think. Wally wouldn't be out here trying to figure out what Home likes and, appeasing Home. And the fact that Home gave him such a vague response that Wally can't figure out what Home means or what Home feels, that's another huge red flag right there, because Home is being vague for some oddly specific reason. Like, you're not just vague to be vague. You know what I mean? There's something weird going on there between the two of them. Another horrific lore piece we get is just this dark background with Wally's eyes peering out at us.
I ain't gonna lie, me too. When I went on her page and seen her pictures, I said, "Oh, jump scare."
And Wally says, to us specifically, the viewer of the website, Wally says, "I see you. Do you see me? Then stay quiet." This is remarkably out of character for Wally. Throughout the website and throughout everything we know about Wally, Wally is the face of the neighborhood. Wally is everyone's socialite, everyone's happy guy, charming, happy-go-lucky fella, can do no wrong, right? So the fact that he's telling us to be quiet after recognizing and acknowledging that we are together and that he sort of sees us, that's odd. That's completely odd. You'd think that if Wally had some kind of ill intent with us or had some sense of control, he'd be a lot more charming. And if he was, with ill intent, he would lure us in with said charm. Except he doesn't. he doesn't there. Now, some people have connected the darkness around Wally's eyes and stuff to the darkness that is the spiraling inside of Home. And some people theorize that Wally is trapped inside of Home. While it's hard to gauge whether that's true or not, I think what can definitely be noted here is that Wally is telling us to be quiet for a reason. He's obviously in the dark, hiding from something, trying to stay undetected, trying to make sure both of us go under the radar. He's hiding from something or someone. Is he possibly scared that Home will recognize us? Because he doesn't seem to really have a good reason for anyone else to discover us and him be scared of that. Now, back to the topic of audio files, the new update to the Welcome Home website has given us, it's like Christmas, okay? It's like Christmas with audio files. We have been given several new audio files, all containing Wally, and some references to Home.
Sensational.
Each of these audio files that we found have names to them. And when you combine all those names together, you get a sentence. And this sentence says, "I will help you understand, neighbor. I will find a way soon." I think that this sentence is Wally telling us, the audience, the viewers, the players of the website, whatever you want to call it, he's telling us that he knows that we're trying to figure things out, but we've only been given a limited amount of details. So he's trying to help us understand the situation because he can tell that some of us are misguided. For whatever reason, though, it appears that Wally is stuck, hence the "I will find a way soon." And the more we listen to these audio files, the more it seems that Home is what is standing in his way. We're not going to go through every one, because obviously there's a lot, but I have cherry-picked 4 that I think really demonstrate what's going on here. So the first of these is neighbor. In this audio file, what's really particularly strange about it is obviously those weird noises you hear, because usually the other ones are all Wally talking to some extent, but this one's like a weird creaking noise, and it could be Home trying to talk. It could also be Wally trying to dial the phone, because the phones they use in Welcome Home are like the old dial-y ones where you have to put your finger through the ring and like spin it. Another thing I'd like to note is that the vinyl that you see, the vinyl icon, in all the other ones, they're kind of like spinning. In this one, for whatever reason, it's like glitching and vibrating and being a little silly and goofy with it. Another one I want you guys to look at and like listen to is because it's also pretty weird. I mean, they're all pretty out there. This one's pretty weird though.
I have more eyes than I did before. You know how to draw eyes. You draw mine many times. I know it is thanks to you, neighbor, that I can see. But it is still, I can't see.
Clown does such a good job at keeping things so cryptic. Like, how are we supposed to decipher what this means? How? I think what's happening here is the more we learn about Welcome Home and, the more we delve deeper into what's actually happening, the more Wally gets his quote-unquote eyes, the more Wally is able to tell us, the more Wally feels like he can maybe tell us. And I also think it's like a double meaning thing where we have given him eyes in the sense that we've allowed him to kind of feel more comfortable with spreading information, letting us know what's going on, trying to protect us at the same time and whatever, you know. But I think he's also trying to warn us by saying, you know, obviously Home has big old eyes and Home is his house, so Home's very aware of what's going on here. Another thing I want to point out is just how, I guess, erratic Wally sounds. Like, he's breathing heavily. He definitely sounds a little more panicked or concerned or frazzled. I mean, if we're comparing it to the Beautiful Dreamer segment from before, he sounded a lot more cool, collected, sure of himself. Here he sounds very erratic, very frantic almost. And it gets worse. It gets worse. The third audio message that you're going to be listening to is understand.
Do you like home?
I heard you.
Home is my house. Do you have a home too? Do you hear it too? You can hear mine.
I find it very interesting that the vinyl audio message called Understand is the one that outright references home. I think Wally's trying to understand what's happening just as much as we are, and I think he's trying to come to terms with what exactly home is. He goes, home is my house. He's trying to affirm that, I guess he's trying to affirm what he already knows. But then he's like, is this normal? Does your house make noises? You can hear my house. Can you hear your own house? Like, is that supposed to happen? The last and definitely most disturbing audio message that I'm going to be playing for you is soon. This one's pretty freaky, so just a heads up.
Let me in.
Let me in, please.
Very short, sweet, and to the point, don't you think? Obviously, Wally's very frantic here. I wouldn't call this forceful or trying to assert dominance or power or anything like that. No, this is being frantic. This is being freaked out. This is, get me out of here. I want to leave. I don't like the energy we've created in the chat today. There's no way Wally is in control of this. Because even if he was, per se, a villain, what would his motive be? He's already the main character. There'd be no point in him trying to quote-unquote steal the show. He also seems to be quite sociable and happy with his friends. He doesn't seem to have any beef with anybody. And yeah, in the earlier days of the fandom, people did like to headcanon that, like, Frank and Wally were, like, beefing, because Frank's typically grumpy, and, you know, Wally's the all-around happy-go-lucky kind of guy. But even that has been disproven. Like, Wally is so friendly with everybody. Just look at this adorable letter from Frank. I mean, come on. Come on, read that through and tell me that they're not close with each other. I dare you. I double dare you. I triple dog dare you, you know? How did Home manage to control Wally so easy? Well, obviously, for starters, Home is Wally's house. Wally has to live with Home. So, like, he's already put in a situation where he spends most of his time with Home. On top of that, Wally is the main character. He's more suited personality-wise towards a child to relate more to a children's audience, because they're, like, a children's media franchise, right? And from Snippets of Clown's Tumblr, and, like, from the website itself, we can see that Wally is portrayed as usually quite naive. He makes general statements about things, and he seems pretty unsure of how to navigate some things, and he often needs guidance from others. Typically Barnaby. Yeah, and again, like, the naivety, the childish curiosity checks out for the aforementioned reasons, right? Kids show, this is the main character of a kids show. But because of that, he's unfortunately put himself in a position that renders him super easy to be manipulated and to have himself been taken advantage of. if you need a little more clarification on why I think Home in general is the main suspect of all this, I mean, A, the lore, obviously, that I've just explained, but B, it might be true we don't know Home's motive, if Home would have a motive. That being said, despite Home being everywhere, we know little to nothing about Home. That has to be on purpose. Even with this new update, Home's been mentioned here and there. Even in, like, as you can see, even in, like, the audio messages and stuff. But we aren't told much of anything specifically about them. Something's not right with that. Home's motive could be unclear because Home isn't letting us know their motive. So, if Home is manipulating Wally, and Wally is stuck in this very problematic situation, what can that be filed under, and what does it mean for Wally? Obviously, we haven't been given a lot, and I don't want to rely heavily on fan and stuff, so I'm gonna go off of what we know has happened so far, and what is canon. So I think what might be happening here is a form of, I guess, control manipulation called coercion control. So it's often the use of threats, sometimes subtle, but gradually getting less subtle and getting more forceful, which can be significantly troubling. And here are some of the things that I think tie in with Home that we're seeing. 1, isolating you from your support system. So I think that Home might be doing this if the whole thing where, Home is trapping Wally, if that's true, then obviously Home is isolating Wally from his support system. He has Barnaby, his friends. If this is true, Home is isolating Wally. If you're wondering where Wally's telephone is, one of Wally's forms of communication, it's in Home. Home is actively monitoring some of Wally's social interactions. Like, if Wally invites someone over for coffee, Home's gonna be part of that conversation. Home's gonna hear everything. That's a little stalkery, a little weird. And again, if this thing where Home's imprisoning Wally is true, that's a denial of freedom and autonomy. Even if Wally's out of the house, let's say, we see that Home is actively surveying the neighborhood all the time on the website. Home could easily watch him. Here's another thing that might be coercion control from Home. Never acknowledging when you do something right. Obviously, Wally, in his beautiful dreamer thing, asks for Home's validation and approval, and Home doesn't directly give it to Wally. Home doesn't let Wally have that validation, have that satisfaction that he's done something right. Home doesn't acknowledge that. I would like to take a moment to say that if you suspect that you or somebody else is in a situation where someone is emotionally, physically, mentally, in any way treating you very wrong, please get help. There are resources available for you. When it is safe to do so, please do what you need to do to keep yourself or that person safe, because you deserve it. Here's a summary of basically what we've gone through. So, first things first, Home is a little suspicious because of just how frequently they're mentioned everywhere, and because they just seem to have a little more control than they should over everything in the website. Then, moving into the audio files reveal that Wally doesn't know what Home's motives or intents are, and for whatever reason, Home is keeping it vague. Now with the website updates also tell us, with these new vinyls, that Wally is growing more and more frantic. Wally's becoming more aware of what's going on, and Wally is scared. Wally is afraid. while Home seems to be oddly left obscured despite being in so much lore. But yeah, I think that's enough insane rambling for today. That's all I can really say anyway with all the lore we've been given. I'm really excited about the update. Glad it happened. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please feel free to leave your own rambles. I love hearing what you guys have to say. If you like the art that's being showed right now, that's actually my art. You can follow me on Instagram at @tushnado_. I can't speak anymore. You can follow me on Instagram at @tushnado_artiste. Please consider giving me a follow. Yeah, and if you like my content, please like and subscribe. If you don't, that's fine too. Stay safe wherever you are. Slay all day or all night. Love you guys. Bye-bye.